This episode is supported by LoopNet. LoopNet listed properties are 283% more likely to lease or sell. That's 283% more likely to find a tenant or buyer when listed on LoopNet. Help your commercial property be seen by the right audience at the right time in the right place. Be seen on LoopNet.
Connecting the REIT to your everyday life allows you to say, hey, I can go walk into this building and say, that company pays this dividend. And if I own this many shares, I can collect a portion of that income. That can help put my kid through college. That can help me get out of debt. And so just the evolution of that and the awareness that people have around that and the growth of real estate is exciting for me.
Hello and welcome to the REIT Report. I'm your host, Sarah Borsom-Hito. I'm pleased to be speaking today with Ashley Fox, CEO and founder of Empify and the WealthBuilders Community App. Empify is a fintech company that helps underrepresented communities learn about finance and build wealth through investing. Ashley is a former Wall Street analyst who brings a wealth of experience and enthusiasm to her mission. Ashley, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So in 2017, you set out to bring about change in how adults as well as young people think about investment options. What were you seeing at the time that motivated you to make such a big professional and personal change? And how had your career up to that point prepared you?
So I went to Howard University and majored in finance. So my goal was never to be an entrepreneur, but to work on Wall Street. And I landed my dream job working in asset management for ultra high net worth individuals. And so at first, I really got exposed to what true wealth looked like in this country. We were working with clients that had at least $25 million or more. And I saw where they invested, where they shopped, where they traveled, how they planned for their children. I saw so much. And then when I would go back home to Philadelphia, where I was from, people thought I was rich. And I'm making good money. I'm making six figures. I'm in my early 20s. But I realized that there was a misconception of how to really, truly build wealth. And you shouldn't have to major in finance, work on Wall Street to really get exposed to that information. And so I actually ended up leaving my job in 2013, leaving my Wall Street career, and set out to financially empower the 99% that Wall Street often overlooks. But at that time, I didn't know how, I didn't know what, I just knew why, and I knew I wanted to be the woman to do it. Following that, I became a financial advisor. So I had security licenses, but I was targeting low to moderate income individuals, helping them how to invest, whether it's save money, invest for their children, plan for retirement. And I was doing well as building my financial advisory business. I ended up losing everything right after Wall Street, got back up on my feet, became a financial advisor. But as a financial advisor, I could only serve so many people per day. And I felt like for something we're using every single day of our life, why is it not taught in our school system? Again, you shouldn't have to be in finance to learn how to grow your wealth, protect your wealth, and preserve it. And as an advisor, it was a really great experience. I learned how to better communicate with adults, but I was dealing with a lot of broken individuals because adults can't be told to change. They have to want to change. And I thought about, what if I teach children? What if I get individuals before they become adults, before they make the mistakes like I did or the clients I was working with? And that's where the thought of what Empify could be. So I made up the word in 2014, which is the merging of empower and modify together. But we didn't actually actualize Empify, become an actual business until 2017. So I was sitting on the idea, feeling the idea. And then I finally decided I don't want to be a financial advisor anymore. I want to be able to build the Harvard of finance. I want to create that education for people. And so I left my financial advisory business. And that's when we started to go into school systems and prison systems and really start to give the education. And so we wanted to become the middleman between the financial institutions and the everyday person, because I understood the language of Wall Street, but I also understood the language and the hearts and minds of both adults and children, and Empify bridges that gap.
So you talk about going into schools. Do you feel like schools are failing kids somehow because they're not providing that basic knowledge?
I wouldn't say schools are failing. I think schools work exactly how they were designed. The schools weren't designed to help you build wealth. Financial institutions weren't designed to be the education system. Their job is not to teach you finance. Their job is to give you financial products and services. I just think the school system needs to be redefined. I think times are different. Life is different. How can we change the dynamics on how we grow our children, strengthen their minds and their hearts? And I think financial education should be a standard, not an option. And I think the world is growing into that space. But when you go into a school system, the biggest priority, their bottom line is test scores. So if it impacts the test scores, then they like it. So we started to build our curriculum to align with the Common Core. So while, yes, they're learning about investing, learning about saving, the banking system and things like that, students were also learning math. Students were also enhancing their reading skills. So the programs were built to supplement what was already happening in the school system, not necessarily to replace it. Not that it was bad, because it works the way it should work. I just think we can redefine what a student learns and how they learn and who they come out as when they get into the real world.
Great. And can you talk about the various ways that Empify works to reach its audience and how you make that decision about which medium works best for a certain audience?
When it comes to reaching our audience, we essentially want to meet you where you are. And so outside of working with middle school, high school, and college students, we also really target adults that are ages 35 to 65 years old. So where are they spending their time? A lot of our audience is on social media. I think as a business, we'd be crazy if we didn't maximize on social media. So when we think about a LinkedIn, people like to read. So how are we creating financial education content that people enjoy reading? When we talk about on Instagram or TikTok, how are we curating video content and photos to be able to reach our audience? And so I think I understand our audience enough to know what drives them. How can I make culturally relevant information and have these conversations with people? And so when I think about how we educate, it's what are people doing with their time? What are they watching? What are they doing? For example, when I explain what a stock is, I compare it to a box of pizza. You don't have to overcomplicate it, but we're really good at understanding what are you doing? What are you enjoying? What do you like? What makes you laugh? What's trending right now? And how can we translate that information into the content that we know you need to grow your wealth and to change your family's financial legacy? And so we're really big on creating content for social media. I think there's always room for improvement. So there's so much more that we're doing, but also creating written content, free classes, free resources. Because when I think about our audience and just finance, period, it's not something we talk about at the dinner table. It's typically a topic that we run from versus something that we run towards, especially if you did not grow up with a lot of money or you've made mistakes in the past. And I always tell people wealth doesn't have a color. Therefore, it looks like all of us, regardless of who you are, what you look like, your gender, your nationality. Everyone deserves to live a life with financial ease. And so we do everything to empower people to let them know you deserve to have it. And Empify is here to show you how we can build it together with you.
This episode is supported by LoopNet. LoopNet listed properties are 283% more likely to lease or sell. That's 283% more likely to find a tenant or buyer when listed on LoopNet. Help your commercial property be seen by the right audience at the right time in the right place. Be seen on LoopNet. So what results are you seeing so far in terms of how Empify's methods are working?
I think starting Empify, I really had no idea. I had a feeling of what I wanted the world to have, but I can honestly say that we've created over 10,000 brand new investors. Our members inside of our WealthBuilders Community App, which is like the Netflix of finance, our members in literally 2 years have invested $6.1 million. And these are individuals who never invested before, had no idea what a brokerage account was. And we're cultivating an environment, a safe environment, a nurturing environment, educational environment that is showing people you can start with what you have. You can start with what you have. So we're not the advisors that tell them what to do. We are the educators that show them how to do it. In REITs in particular, our members have invested over $650,000. We're talking about first-time REIT investors had no idea what a real estate investment trust was. And I think when I see those things happen, when I see people get excited that they got their first dividend, excited that they opened their first brokerage account or their child is investing, that's what Empify is about. So when I think about the impact that we're making is the brick by brick, share by share, people are building and growing so that, hey, you don't have to grow up with a lot of money, but you can create that journey, create that legacy along the way. And so for every person that has bought their first stock, is growing their portfolio, building wealth for their children, and properly learning how to pass it down. To me, that's what success looks like. And that's what makes my heart full, because I'm taking what I saw on Wall Street and turning that experience and creating that for the everyday person. And I felt it always in my heart, but now like we can actually say we are on track to invest almost $10 million. And we're going to do it before the year is out, because people now know that they can do it and we're by their side while they're getting it done.
That's amazing numbers. And how do REITs feature within your broader investment education platform? And what are some of the main messages that you're trying to get across?
When Empify was created, it was, again, how can we translate Wall Street knowledge? How can we take the stock market that people are afraid of and bring it to them to let them know it's something you can actually run towards? And when I think about real estate, so many people have these misconceptions that you need a lot of money to invest in real estate. You need a lot of time. You need credit. And if you don't have those things, we shut down. Now, I can't build wealth in real estate. I don't have the money. Oh, I don't have the time. I don't have the credit. But real estate investment trusts allow you to enter into the real estate market without having all of that money. And so one of the things I always tell people is like, you can invest in real estate, build passive income for typically less than $200. And so when people started to think about, oh, I can't get into real estate, it's, hey, but you can. So we started to think about what can we do to block all the misconceptions, remove all the myths that people have, that it is impossible for you to play this game and to effectively build wealth like the wealthy people that we see all the time. And so we created our REIT Accelerator, which is a 5-week program where from start to finish, we show you how to invest in REITs, from the basic information to the point you get your account, to know how to track your dividends, to know how to research your REIT. And by the end of the program, you become a REIT investor. And when I think about REITs, it's how can I take the everyday life in your consumption and use of real estate and connect it to you? Do you know that when you go shopping, if you look on the side of the building, and if it's a big mall, it's probably owned by a REIT, the grocery store you go to, the gas stations, the stores. And so how do we connect the buildings that people see on a daily basis and say, hey, do you know you can be part owner of that building? Do you know when those tenants pay rent as a shareholder of that company, you receive a portion of that? Like I just saw recently, there's over $1 trillion in dividends that are paid out. You can at least get $100. You are worth getting something of that pie because in this case, they're going to be paying you. So why not receive that income? And I think it's shifting the mindset that, hey, you don't always have to go work for your money. It is okay to consume and own a piece of the businesses or the real estate that you consume and have them pay you. And then over time, again, share by share, brick by brick, you can start to create the passive income that can supplement the money that you're making.
What are some trends or developments in commercial real estate that you find particularly innovative or exciting today and that you want your investors to be more aware of?
I think just the constant evolution of real estate, what happens during recessions, outside of recessions. But one of the things that I'm really excited about is literally data centers. I think the idea of the increasing dependency and needing of cloud computing, big data, online services, and the demand of data centers is growing when it comes to AI and so much more, and having some of the biggest and household names that we know, use, and believe in becoming dependent on that. And so I think it's one of the most unique trends or unique things that's going on right now. And I think it's always important for people to know how your everyday life connects with how you can also build wealth. So you using your phone or just using your everyday being is the reason the stock market exists. REITs would not exist if you don't consume real estate. So how can we become a part of that? So I think as real estate grows, as real estate falls apart, as the economy gets better, I think we are all a part of that journey. And you allow this thing we call the world to move, really helping people put themselves in this space and saying, hey, you can build wealth here just by your mere existence. But I genuinely love data centers. I love all REITs. But I think, again, connecting the REIT to your everyday life allows you to say, hey, I can go walk into this building and say, that company pays this dividend. And if I own this many shares, I can collect a portion of that income. That can help put my kid through college. That can help me get out of debt. And so just the evolution of that and the awareness that people have around that and the growth of real estate is exciting for me.
So do you feel like the people that you work with do have a better sense of the role that REITs are playing in the economy?
Absolutely. I think when they come in, they're like, what is this? How does this even work? How come it's so inexpensive? But when you have things like that REITs have to pay out 90% of their profits to shareholders, it's imagine having to have a company have to pay you because that's why they were designed, right? And so I do believe we break the barrier of like, why have I never heard of this? And sometimes I tell it's not the sexiest thing on the stock market. You're not about to like triple your money, but not everybody has that risk tolerance. But again, how can I connect something I use every day that I see all the time and connect it to my life and say, hey, I can actually own a piece of this. And I think as we start to say, hey, do you know that building, that mall, that place, that Amazon has this landlord that you shop at all the time, the Target you go to, the grocery store, and then they can go see it and ride down the street and say, hey, there's a REIT. It makes it much more feasible. It makes it much more believable, and they feel deserving of it, especially when you go look up the chart and you realize, oh, it's not hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this. Oh, wow, they do pay out dividends. And I think that enhances their belief and it breaks that barrier that they don't belong in the industry or they don't have the money for the industry. And you don't need a credit score to buy a REIT. You just need a brokerage account. So let us show you how to do it. And don't start small. You don't have to start with millions of dollars, but let's build over time. And I think by the time the REIT Accelerator is over, they're believers. And when they start to see it everywhere and they start to question who owns this building, they're now thinking like an owner and not just a consumer.
Ashley, what's next for Empify?
So we are growing very fast. We were just featured as one of the fastest growing companies on the Inc. 5000 list, coming in at 652. So this is the time for Empify to shine. So we're working on creating more educational content, written content. We're launching our LinkedIn newsletter. We're launching our third cash flow creation virtual summit, which is a 5-day virtual event showing investors how dividends can grow their wealth and help them get through retirement or put their kids through college. We have our parent investing bootcamp. So what we're doing with adults, how can we implement those strategies and tactics for your children? We have our REIT Accelerator going, and now everything about Empify is scaling. It's, hey, we're good at what we do. We have results, we have the people, we have the testimonies, we're growing fast. How can we reach billions of people? And so now we're on track to have over 10,000 subscribers on our platform. And it's really just creating more and more investors. Empify will be the company that creates the most investors. We are the middleman, that universal language that translates Wall Street knowledge and brings it to the everyday person. So what Kleenex is to tissues is what Empify is going to be for financial education. And to learn more about Empify, you can go to empify.com, empify.com. It is Empify across all platforms, as well as me. You can go find me on LinkedIn, Ashley M. Fox, or on Instagram, Ashley M. Fox. We have tons of information, tons of free resources, tons of free classes for you to learn how to invest and build wealth for yourself and your family.
So, Ashley, it's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much.
And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe or leave a review on your favorite podcast platform.